So, hey, good afternoon. Mike here from Dallas. And Mitch is here too. Say hello, Mitch.
Hello.
Mitch is in from New York. So, it's, let me just say it's been a really strange couple of weeks. Uh, and I have a rant to start off with today. It's going to be politically incorrect, but I'm at the point where I'm just screw it. I don't care who I piss off saying this. Um, After watching the events of the last few weeks, the Supreme Court immunity decision, the reaction to Biden's not so great debate performance, the assassination attempt, I have come to the conclusion, I felt this way for a long time, but I feel much more comfortable saying it now. That at least a third of this country is completely fucking crazy. They are bonkers, wackadoodle, nutso, around the bend, off the deep end, a few bricks short of a full load. They have more loose screws than an earthquake in a hardware store. There are a few sandwiches short of a picnic. They're absolutely fucking bonkers, wackadoodle. I'm batshit. I'm running out of words. I do not understand how a fourth or a third of this country can look at that man and think this guy is fit to be president, completely ignoring January 6th and all the values that would have led them to be horrified by something like that happening. And then for these idiots to show up at their convention with maxi pads on their ears. And there was even some online stuff about previously some of them wearing diapers outside their pants. Solidarity. And that's just the Republicans, the MAGATs. Oh, I got curious the other day. Do you know what the word is for a group? You've heard of murder of crows, a pod of whales. You know what a group of maggots is called?
Oh.
There's a parliament of maggots. There's also a grumble of maggots. And I thought grumble of maggots really work well because these people are all aggrieved and grumbling and bitchy all the time. So I'm going to start calling them a grumble of maggots for their convention. But that's just the maggot Republicans. I'm just as upset with the Democrats. It's like, yeah, Biden is old. Okay, he's slowing down. But I'm like, didn't you fucking realize this 2 years ago when we had some time to do something about it? What changed? For those of you too young to remember or were around, there was a great movement to make the Democratic Party nominating process move it out of the smoke-filled back rooms, being decided by backroom deals at convention, to having it being driven by the voters in the primary. Extensive rule changes in 1972 to make sure that women and men got equal representation. Minorities were reflected in our delegation to the same extent they occur in our voting population. A whole bunch of stuff decided to make us more democratic. So we went through that process and we picked Biden. And now people want to replace him. And I'm thinking, what the hell is wrong with you people? Everybody I talk to outside of the Beltway, except for people who didn't ever like him to begin with, are saying, hell no, I'll vote for an old dog over a rabid one. I'm incredibly frustrated with these people who think that less than 3 months before voting starts, we can reasonably replace somebody at the top of the ticket. If you go back and look at the history of the 1968 campaign, where LBJ decided in March or something that he wasn't going to run again, and they all scrambled and ended up nominating Hubert Humphrey at the convention when he hadn't run in a single primary. He reportedly has said he thought he could have beaten Tricky Dick Nixon if he'd had longer to prepare and spin up a nationwide presidential campaign. And we now have even less time than he did. This is insanity. And unless he has a stroke and is, drooling in his oatmeal or whatever, or dies, I don't see any reason to replace him. This is stupid. I think it's Republican talking points, it's Democratic leaders getting cold feet, and it's people who frankly never liked him to begin with. So that is my rant for the day. And the way this kind of segues into everything you've been talking about on your channel, Mitch, is the discussions on this channel have been about the intersection of politics, philosophy, religion, self-improvement, this whole kind of ball of wax. And kind of what I see this as a problem of, I'm serious. I think people are fucking crazy. And I think the best way to describe that is they're all asleep. It's mass hysteria, mass hypnosis. They're under a spell, and I don't know how to break it. I mean, I kind of want to start a group, we'll call it the 2x4 PAC, where people donate money to where we can buy 75 million 2x4s, and everybody can have a 2x4 and go up and whack their Trump friends and neighbors over the head with it and wake them the fuck up. So that's it.
They can't take that as a joke. They're going to go, oh, now the Democrats are wanting to hit us.
Yeah, like I said, I'm going to be politically
It's
incorrect.
stupid.
I had a rant.
They can't take a joke either.
Right.
Yeah.
And they accuse us of being the snowflakes.
Yeah.
So,
I think, the theme of our channel is, more empathy and awareness in our communication. Okay, but you can't have that without democracy.
right.
You gotta fight for democracy. And there's nothing lacking in empathy to make a joke. We should all not be so thin-skinned. And
you cannot have empathy and really feeling where somebody else is when you have this predominant groupthink where everybody follows what the leader says and thinks, and they want to be so much like him and emulate him that they wear maxi pads on their ears. I'm not kidding. I mean, I'd post a picture of it here, but people are skeptical, wouldn't believe me. Just go and Google it yourselves. It's real. It's a real thing.
they think it can't. We had a term in when I was developing all of this understanding about empathy and awareness and relationship to trauma and health. We had a term for people that are batshit. We had a term for them. It was called symbols,
Right.
more symbolic than real, and that's that happened because people are, and when there's a trauma, what happens is that when the helplessness is there to get your needs met, or to get out of the situation that you're in, or to get into a better situation, and then helplessness is overwhelming, then the brain automatically gives more attainable symbols of that need or that situation. And so that saved people. you know, it saves them in the beginning because, you know, otherwise the helplessness and the anxiety would be overwhelming and, you know, they would get sick or die, and they've tested this, with animals. But, you know, this is how people come to the point where they're more symbolic than they are real.
Right,
And that means the drama, everybody has drama. But in the case of these folks, the drama has them. So, I mean, they have no awareness and no empathy, even truly for themselves, because the real needs that are still pushing for recognition inside them, those needs, they're only approaching symbolical. They can never fully feel a real connection to their real needs, which is their real self.
right,
So they're not even themselves.
right.
These people are sick, you know, and the people
That's
say,
my point.
yeah, you know, so, you know, when I say that, you know, I can have empathy for Trump, the people go, "Oh," you know, I'm going, no, he's a sick man. You know, he shouldn't, and the people more at fault are rich people backing him who have better
Right.
sense. You know,
And they're sick too.
yeah, they are. It's called greed, and it's something,
Yeah.
you know, I can't believe we're in a Christian country where Jesus said that greed or the love of money was the source of all evil. So,
Right.
and the whole foundation of our country was to set up a situation where powers were divided. And now
Mhm.
they want to give all the power to the president. I
Right.
mean, that we
Yeah,
fought against
I
that
know,
with
I
the
know.
king.
So I'm like, okay, so people are nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, coming back to what we've been talking about here, it's uh yeah, I mean this kind of stuff you're talking about it, this mechanism, this what they do, it's obviously some kind of a defense mechanism. They're getting something out of it.
Yeah.
I guess what they're
Call
getting
it
out
hope
of it.
dope.
Say what?
I call it hope dope.
Right. So they're getting what they're getting is it's kind of deferring or insulating themselves from their pain, right?
Right. You know, and you know, so you can have empathy for that, but you don't, for Christ's sakes, you don't give them the reins of government.
You're
You know,
right. So how, I mean, you worked on techniques for helping people ease out of this on an individual basis. And my question that I'm wrestling with is, can this be done on a mass scale? Can we wake people up on a mass scale? Can we find some way to more productive way for them to fill that need and address that pain rather than this counterproductive neuroses that leads them to seek out these false savior figures and subscribe to this completely destructive approach to governance and society.
that's a really good question. And I talk to people a lot of times, I used to, people that were involved in, you know, helping people with unconnected influence trauma. And it is very hard because, you know, that symbolic approach is a survival memory. You know, so you can't come at them right up front. So, you know, you have to kind of massage their brain, their perspectives with an attempt to comfort, but from different perspectives. The impact of using different perspectives, including forms of meditation and role play, different kinds of perspectives used to meet needs, creative, from which we get the virtue of artfulness, and compassionate empathy, from which we get goodness, and objective empathy, from which we get truth. And then when this kind of massage, and and also paying attention, being aware physically, before we had language, we had the ability to focus, to play, and to express our feelings. And you're tapping into that with forms of meditation, sometimes involving expression, is helpful. And so all of these different approaches, when they're taken together, especially when you put them all together, can really do a lot to change a person.
Yeah, well, that's on an individual basis. I mean, as somebody who's very political, I'm like, first, can those kind of techniques, that approach, be applied to some kind of movement level thing, a political campaign, or some kind of a public interest campaign, mass communications, or whatever. Or does it actually just get down to one-on-one contact? I mean, there's something to, there's a body of political science research that says the most powerful way you can influence somebody, one, either to get out to vote or to vote in a certain way, is one-on-one contact, preferably from somebody that I already know and trust. So is there a route through mass communication, or does this really come down to techniques people use when actually one-on-one talking to other people for political purposes?
Well, it's both. The catalyst for change can come from an individual, and it can also come from society at large, politically. And so politics is extremely important, because without democracy, you don't have human rights.
Right.
You don't even have a chance to do anything to truly get people in touch with themselves, and in touch with their real needs, and to have empathy after that for other people. So the way I would approach it en masse, for one thing, is that religion is a kind of medication that people use. It can be. And we came to this country looking for freedom. Right. So medicine of the right amount and type for the individual should be something that people can come to understand. Freedom of religion. And so, the way we can, if people appreciate these different points of view as kinds of medications for their pain, and ways to promote virtues, then hey, the different ones coming together and communicating is very important. So diversity, promoting diversity politically, does a great deal in order to get different perspective to apply. And so what falls off and gets pushed out are the things that don't jive, they can't be integrated. So when you see groups of religious people getting together to do a good thing, for instance, they have to put on the back burner the areas where they disagree, the areas where the medication is not right for them, but maybe for someone else, and they begin to develop tolerance. So I think the development of tolerance, can be a mass movement, fighting for democracy, getting people to understand what democracy is, and getting people to understand the value of freedom of religion, for which this country stands. When, and the people that are wanting to have for instance, this MAGA group are wanting to have a Christian nation. Well, what does that mean? Even if you're a Christian, what kind of Christian?
Right,
The
right,
Christians came to this country killing each other
right.
over whether you should sprinkle or dunk the person in baptism, whether you should baptize the baby or not.
Sure.
I mean, and the other ad infinitum. And so what we did is we divided religion from government, and we gave freedom to the religions to operate and give the medicine that they have to the people
Right.
that need it. And this has worked really well, so that we see synagogues and temples and churches all mixed together. And when there's a big problem coming, like a drought or a flood, all these people come together. And the one thing that unites them all is love, and caring for another person. And it's kind of funny that these catastrophes seem to be what wakes people up to the humanity of everybody.
Well, yeah, I don't think I think that's understandable. But I mean,
And as
talking
far,
through this,
but also defending democracy against these ones, China and Russia, and these people that are anything but democratic. They are not as productive. There's the hope. They are not as productive. They are not as creative as we are, because they are not really giving voice to enough different people to have that creativity and that upward, true upward mobility.
right.
They become a singular religion themselves.
Sure.
You believe this and follow me or else. And when I think enough American people hear some of these people in MAGA wanting to have a Christian Taliban, maybe they would just slowly begin to wake up. So that's what I do, and I'm always preaching, and wherever I go, I get away with whatever I can. And so I talk to people that I can really communicate with, but knowing that there's somebody that I sense is a little bit out there and maybe fooled, and you can kind of tell they are. You can sense it. I mean, if you practice enough of these things I'm talking about, you see a lot of things.
Right.
So I go in and I make a presentation about women. And I'm talking about women's rights and things like that. And I see there's this one lady in this little meeting, little area where you wait for the doctor, a waiting room. So there's a lady sitting over there, and I knew she was probably somebody who, the drama had her. So, and probably really big on the abortion thing and so on. And so, I talked to this young lady who was very friendly and approving, and I pitched the women's rights. I talked about how, if you have to wait until the woman's almost dead before you do a life-saving abortion, that is a problem, and that it could keep her from having another child and not kill her. So, and that what's wrong with having the doctor and the mother decide the moral issues?
Right.
Why would you have a problem with that? And I said, the other thing is that every time when the one aspect, male and the female part meet, it's naturally aborted. And if you believe in God, then God would be the biggest abortionist around. Okay? It's reject, reject, reject. And
Yeah, I heard some statistic the other day where I want to say a third, but somewhere around there of pregnancies naturally end in miscarriage, at least in this country.
yeah. Well, the other thing is if you're having a more loving approach too toward women who are pregnant,
Right.
that tends to create a better condition for the baby.
Sure.
And then the baby is healthier and
So
don't you want a healthy baby.
right. So you were talking to these younger women and there was an older woman in there too?
Yeah. She was over to the right.
Okay.
And as I began to wear down all of these crazy points that MAGA have, including the idea of having a Christian Taliban and all
Yeah.
of it. And then I come over and I sit down and I see her just like this and
Hunched
like
up,
about
not like what
ready,
she's hearing.
about ready to cry. And I'm going, there's hope for you, baby. Because it's the tears that are so very important a lot of times, except in birth.
Right.
That
So how did this end up with her?
oh, I didn't approach anything directly with her.
Okay.
I just but I noticed when it came on and they were talking about Trump and the political stuff, she suddenly became more interested in watching that. And so I'm like, okay.
So was Fox News on in the waiting room or was somebody else?
It was somebody else.
Oh, well, that's good. I mean, around here, half the time it's going to be faux news in a waiting room. Anyway.
I'm with you on the rant, and I'm really proud of Joe Biden bringing up when they were giving him in an interview down the hill about oh, are you old? What would take for you to step down? And he says, hey, what about little fair play? I'm going to paraphrase him. What about you never seem to mention all of the lives that Trump took.
Yeah, I saw that with there was I forget what network he's with, but it's a host name, I think it's host anchor. I don't watch that much TV. At least broadcast TV. Lester Holt, who's supposedly, a neutral journalist who some of the commentators I was listening to said he's actually has a Republican history. Biden did that to him. I mean, he was asking all these questions about Biden, and Biden says, no, in so many words, back off. I mean, you're asking me all these questions. Why don't, you talk about my bad debate performance, but Trump told like 20 or 30 documented lies in the debate. Why aren't you ever asking him about that? And the guy, he had no answer.
Yeah, he was silent. And the silence,
he ignored it.
Yeah, his silence was so long.
Yeah.
That the one comedian used it as a point of humor.
Oh yeah. I mean, the only thing the last few weeks have been good for is the late night talk show hosts. I think they've been milking it forever. But I mean, sitting here talking through all of this today, it really occurs to me that there's this stereotype of the MAGA voter being an aggrieved victim. And if you listen to some of their complaints, the man on the street interviews, the interviews of their convention goers, people interviewed at their rallies, that kind of fits. And I think they're looking, I mean, if we're going to extend that from my ranting comments about these people being crazy, then it really fits that these people have a problem of some sort, and they're looking externally to this group or this savior figure to fix them and save their, fix their problem for them. I mean,
Yeah,
he comes out and says it, I'm the solution.
yeah. Well, a lot of their pain is related, to imperfect raising of the child.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so, maybe violence perpetrated on the child to scare them straight. I mean,
right.
this kind of harmful stuff is banned in Europe,
Yeah,
but here they
I,
allow it.
I don't think it's at all a coincidence that a lot of these hardcore evangelical so-called self-styled Christians are gravitated to this movement. I mean,
Oh,
it to me it's the same mindset.
yeah, they're looking for a parent that cares,
Right.
and because they didn't experience enough caring from their own parents, and
And
they're
if you
never.
look at yeah, and if you look at some people probably familiar with George Lakoff's book, Don't Think of an Elephant, which gained a lot of traction like 20 years ago or so, and he's done some updates. He's the Democratic guru for messaging. Um, but he talks about the Republican Party conservative mindset being oriented towards a strong, domineering, authoritative father figure, and the Democratic Party more leaning towards the nurturing mother model. And you can trace both of those to all kinds of neuroses, but especially to me, the authoritarian father. Anyway,
Yeah, the authoritarian father figure, that's, you know, when you don't get love, you want to force the love somehow. You want to make people love you. And, somebody who, and you're going to be attracted to power. And you're also going to be attracted to, since you don't feel the good feelings of love as much, you're going to be attracted to physical pleasure.
well,
So
and then you have a lot of guilt around that.
yeah, of course, of course. And so, I see a lot of that, it's like was it Marjorie Taylor Greene, that who was it that was acting so naughty at the theater?
Oh, Lauren Boebert,
Oh, yeah.
Insurrection Bourbon.
Yeah, so I mean, they were making out and carrying on. I mean,
Oh, she was giving him a hand job.
oh dear God. So
Videotape.
but that's reasonable. If you're in a lot of pain, you're looking for a pain. So, and sex is a painkiller. So,
Yeah, but there's times and places.
yes, exactly. But 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 that's they're also, your empathy is cut because you're in pain. People in pain are concerned about just them. So somebody comes along and says, oh, I'm going to give you everything you want, which is usually some symbolic need.
Right.
I'm going to give you more
I'm
power.
going to make you rich.
Yeah, I'm going to make your religious medicine the only medicine in the world.
Well, that's
And even though it's harmful maybe to other people,
it may even be harmful to you.
yes, exactly. In fact, that's why, and when I talk about a mystic, I don't really talk about being mystified. It's just like it's an objective mystic. You see the mystic teaching is about love.
Hmm.
And that's where you see Jesus really shining as someone who speaks about love.
Right,
And and he speaks about the sinners as sick,
right.
and he's the physician. That's love, and what people rape around the central message of the mystic, which is love. Even in the Quran, it begins, oh, uh, what is that? I begin in the name of Allah, all merciful, all compassionate. Every surah is like that throughout the Quran. But when you get into the religious control thing, like the dominant father thing, then it's when it's against hateful, and and he said, well, you're not going to be kind and caring. I'm going to make you be kind and caring.
Yeah,
And
and
it's punishing.
the image of Jesus, of God, in that framework is not one of a loving friend. It's sometimes of an avenging king. When they talk about the king coming, with his armies of angels, and they're going to vanquish the sinners. They don't. I mean, that this whole thing about end times and Armageddon.
Yeah, that wasn't seen to be the main, the love part of any religion is correct.
Yeah, and I see this carry through with a lot of these more conservative religious folks, even within the Christian tradition. They are suspicious and wary of anything that smacks of mysticism. They think that any kind of Christian centered meditation, or this thing called centering prayer, or that's evil. You're inviting, when you empty your mind, you're inviting Satan to come in. They distrust. There's churches that have yoga classes, and they
Well,
distrust
think
yoga.
about
I mean, some of them. I mean, the families are so conservative, they don't want their kids exposed to Harry Potter or Star Wars, because that's spiritual, or magic, or the Force is something other than Christianity. That's an alternative religion. It sounds like Hinduism or something.
it's pretty crazy.
So frustrating sometimes. Anyway, this has been good. I think we're about out of time for today. But let's pick this up and carry it on next week.
Okay, so I will trudge along and try to produce something every day.
Okay, so folks, be watching, and I'll probably be on with Mitch again next week, and we'll
And
bye for now.
you could do some just on your own too.
Yeah, I'll see. But we'll wrap it up for today. Thanks for talking. Take care.
Okay, well, let's have an ending. I like to do the Irish blessing. And,
Okay, go ahead.
okay, we do love you wherever you are out there. We do care. We're not into punishing people. We're into healing.
Even if you are crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is, we want you on our team. We want you to subscribe to the channel so we know who you are. And we want to have your voice speaking for empathy and awareness in all of our communications, including political and especially political. And here's the blessing that I like to give. It's an old Irish blessing, and I do it at the end of a lot of my videos. So if you watch them, you can turn it off right now. May the road rise, may the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, rain fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you, in the palm of his hand. Or her hand or its hand, however you see the source of all love. And I like to mention Carl Sagan's great statement, which is that we are the universe knowing itself. So if that's not a mystic, I don't know what is. And there's a phrase that means that for goodbye and hello in India. Well, it's not really a phrase. It's a greeting and a goodbye. And it means what Carl Sagan said. And that's namaste. So I like to say that. I hope it doesn't upset. And
If it does, you're watching the wrong channel.
yeah, so yeah, we want you to subscribe and share the videos you like and comment so we know who you are, and you too can be a voice on this channel. And we
Okay.
hope that this message goes around the world because love really is the answer.
All right. Have a good week, mates. Talk to you later.
Good too. Goodbye all.